Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. As you get ready for spring cleaning, trust Simple Green to get the job done right. Simple Green's concentrated cleaning power handles tough messes in every room of the house. And Simple Green is EPA Safer Choice certified, so it's recognized for safer use around people, pets, and waterways. I am so certain you'll love Simple Green. If you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
When equipment breaks down and operations come to a halt, every single second counts. So why is your maintenance team spending 60% of their time doing anything but turning wrenches? MaintainX is the AI-powered maintenance and asset management system that helps your team get back to actually fixing breakdowns. No more searching for manuals. No more hunting down parts. No more drowning in paperwork. With MaintainX, your team can access manuals from anywhere, create new procedures in minutes, and turn voice notes into clear and complete work order feedback. What used to take hours now only takes minutes. Keep your operations moving and your wrenches turning. Join over 13,000 maintenance teams that are already fixing more and filing less. Try MaintainX for free today. Go to maintainx.com/AI. That's maintain and the letter x.com/AI.
In the summer of 1979, along the sun-drenched highways of Southern California, in a gray cargo van they called Murder Mac, two men did something so methodical, so premeditated, so utterly without remorse that even the language of evil struggles to hold it. There was a list, and two girls were already taken weeks apart, taken by two men who were operating at that point with absolute confidence, absolute impunity, because nobody was looking for them, yet. They had committed 2 murders on the coastal highways of Southern California, and as far as law enforcement was concerned, there were no dots to connect. That invisibility wasn't an accident. These men had planned for it, and although they'd already murdered 2, they weren't done, not by a long shot, because these men didn't hesitate. They never hesitated. This is Lawrence, Bittaker, and Roy Norris, the Toolbox Killers, Part 2. Hey y'all, I'm Chris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Potterworth. Welcome to Hitched to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part. Yes, welcome. And for our friends in Moldova. Moldova. Bine ai venit.
I need to take him to Epcot and make him prove that he remembers some of these welcomes.
I forget them about 30 seconds after I say them.
Well, wherever you're listening, be sure to subscribe to Hitched to Homicide, then like, rate, and review the podcast so other people who love true crime and are just like you can find us.
Yep.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button below.
Mm-hmm.
If you want true crime with us all the time, 7 days a week,
yes,
365 days a year,
yep,
please go join our closed Facebook group, The In-Laws and Outlaws. Go to Facebook, type in H2H, In-Laws and Outlaws, answer a couple questions. You are in. Go join.
Please.
I like to post photos and other information in there, and we just love these people. Couldn't love them more.
They're fun.
You can find us on Instagram at Hitched to Homicide or on X at H2H_podcast. And we also have a Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to send Rob some coffee.
Please do.
He's drinking it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can find that link in our show notes, and you can also send us a message. The link to that is now at the bottom of the show notes. It says, send Chris and Rob a message.
Please do. And I have to say, I'm wearing my Ohio State t-shirt today because of the draft. We had 6 Ohio State players going into the NFL, and I'm very happy about that.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
For that.
We have also had some Kentucky players.
Four players from Kentucky.
Yeah.
I think they went a little bit later in the draft than your Ohio State boys.
Yeah, well.
What is it you're supposed to say? O-H?
I-O.
There it is.
There it is.
Not from, not from Ohio. I'm a Kentucky girl.
Yeah.
Well, we're on to part 2 of the worst evil ever. Be sure you're ready for this.
Yeah.
You have been warned. I'm telling you, even just researching this kept me up. So it's bad.
Wow.
Before we get started, let me thank some sources. Wikipedia, Oxygen Channel, All That's Interesting, Sue Coletta and the Crime Writers Resource, A&E Networks, Criminal Minds, Biography, Reddit, Facebook, Crime Library, Newsweek, the LA Times, the Sacramento Bee, Oxygen and Peacock's Toolbox Killer, among others.
All right. Well, you ready?
I'm really not, but we're going to power through this anyway.
All right. Well, let's sort of go.
Okay. September 3rd, 1979, 13-year-old Jacqueline Leah Lamp, she goes by Leah, and 15-year-old Jacqueline Doris Gilliam, she goes by Jackie, had been hitchhiking along the PCH and sat down at a bus stop at Fulton Avenue and Artesia Boulevard near Redondo Beach. They're taking a little rest. They're taking a load off.
Okay.
They were going to take the bus to Santa Monica Beach to meet up with either Leah or Jackie's stepsister. And this is where Roy and Lawrence see them. Both of these girls are beautiful, and they are both blonde. Are you noticing a pattern yet?
Yeah.
And do you remember what Lawrence's girlfriend, his only girlfriend, Mary?
Yeah.
Blonde.
Same thing.
Blonde, beautiful, blue eyes.
Yep.
Leah had just finished junior high, and Jackie was one of her very best friends. They pull up, the boys pull up, they offer the girls a ride and some weed, and Jackie and Leah accepted. But they soon became suspicious when Lawrence drove away from the PCH, away from the Pacific Coast Highway, and parked near a suburban tennis court. He had gone in the wrong direction. And Leah, sensing something was wrong, tried to open the sliding door and escape, but Roy hit her on the back of the head with a sap, with a bag of weights, which knocked her out.
Wow.
He then turned on Jackie and began binding and gagging her with duct tape. And when Leah regains consciousness, she tries to escape again, but Roy twisted her arm behind her back and dragged her back into the van. And I kid you not, this was all witnessed by several people at a nearby tennis court.
What? And nobody did anything?
This, according to an article in the LA Times. And why didn't somebody write down the plate number?
Yeah.
Why didn't anyone help these little girls?
Wow.
Well, apparently it's because Lawrence yells at all these people on the Miracoast High School tennis courts that the girl was, quote, high on LSD, end quote. She's having a bad trip, and I'm, quote, taking her home, end quote. But he didn't.
Yeah.
Lawrence drove to their favorite mountain location, the Remote Fire Road, where they would hold Leah and Jackie captive for 2 days. And during that time, they were both kept bound and gagged in the van and subjected to repeated rapes and physical assaults by both men. Lawrence tells Jackie that he's going to rape her and she better act like she's enjoying it. And then he finds out that she is a virgin, and he wants to audio tape the rape of a virgin.
Oh, geez.
So he takes the tape recorder, and when he's raping her, she is screaming. Lawrence and Roy take a ton of photos of Jackie having sex with them. In these photos, she's smiling and she's naked and she has a black eye. Remember, he punched her when she tried to escape.
Right.
So she's bound and she has a smile on her face. He's forcing her to smile in these photos. He would later show the photos to other people. And then he also used these photos to masturbate.
Jeez.
Lawrence decides, hey, it's the weekend. We don't need to go to work, so let's sleep with the girls. Lawrence is in the van while Roy stands guard, and both of these girls were gorgeous blondes, and they kept these two girls the longest, 48 hours. They used vice grip pliers, tearing off nipples. An ice pick was used on their breasts. They recorded the rape on audio cassette tapes. They would then take more than 25 Polaroids of the two girls over the 2 days, and they would record sessions of torturing each of them. Roy will later say that he suggested that Jackie, who had been relatively cooperative, should be killed quickly. But Lawrence said, quote, "No, they only die once," end quote. Then Lawrence decides he's had enough. He cradled Jackie's head and put the ice pick into her brain through her ear and strangled her. Lawrence did the strangling with a coat hanger tightened with pliers. And Leah, the other girl who's still alive, is watching. Then Lawrence turned to Leah. Roy struck her in the head with a sledgehammer, and Lawrence strangled her until he thought she was dead. But she opened her eyes again, and Roy hit her repeatedly with the sledgehammer while Lawrence strangled her a second time.
Good grief.
They dumped their bodies off the side of a steep ravine. Then later, on September 27th, 1979, Lawrence and Roy attempt to abduct an unidentified woman. She escapes unharmed. 3 days later, September 30th, 1979, Robin Robeck was walking along when the Murder Mac pulled up alongside her. Robin was from Oregon, but she was in California to visit her father, who was living in Manhattan Beach. And the driver asked Robin if she needed a lift. Lawrence asks, "Do you need a lift?" And Robin said she didn't, and she keeps walking. But these two killers are not going to take no for an answer. One of them sprayed her with pepper spray and dragged her into the van, and then they sped away. Lawrence and Roy rape her while she's in the van, but they make a mistake. And maybe it's because they're becoming a little too overconfident, but these two let their guard down for just a hot second, and Robin managed to get out of the van, and she ran for her life.
Wow.
She went to the police, but all she could tell them was that they were two white men in their mid-30s. And the police don't connect this incident to any of the missing girls.
Right.
All she could say is, this van is silver. That's it. That's what she saw the most of, because after that she gets pepper sprayed.
Sure.
So with very little to go on, the police sort of just tuck this information away. A month later, it's Halloween 1979. Lawrence and Roy deviated from their typical routine by cruising the neighborhood streets in the San Fernando Valley. This is where they discovered 16-year-old Shirley Lynette Ledford looking for a ride outside of a gas station after attending a Halloween party in Sunland, Tujunga, Los Angeles. She had finished work at McDonald's, where she sometimes worked, and then she had dressed up and gone to a party. And then she needed a ride home. She's standing outside this gas station near the intersection of Sunland Boulevard.
Right.
She's hitchhiking, and this is when Roy and Lawrence approach her. Now, it's believed that Lynette actually accepted the ride because she knew Lawrence. He was a regular at McDonald's, where she would sometimes work, and he had previously tried, unsuccessfully, I might add, to ask her out on a date. He's 38, 39 years old, and he's asking out a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
But then again, that might be the least unappealing thing about Lawrence at this point.
Right.
She thinks he's safe, so she gets into the van for her ride home. And once inside, Lawrence drove away from the main roads into a more secluded industrial residential area of the San Fernando Valley. He stopped the van, he pulled out a knife, and the two of them took Shirley captive. Roy moved into the driver's seat while Lawrence went into the back of the van with Shirley. This is when Lawrence turned on a portable tape recorder, and this will be the infamous recording of Shirley's torture. He bound and gagged her with duct tape while Roy drove aimlessly for over an hour. And while he's driving, Lawrence tortured and raped Shirley. Then Lawrence takes the tape off of her mouth and legs and began tormenting her, slapping and mocking her, demanding that she say something. then ordering her to scream louder as he escalates the violence. Now, I've also read that these two took turns raping Shirley, one while one was driving and then the other while the other was driving. But regardless of that fact, this is completely different from what they usually do. They took her to a gravel path in Burbank to torture and rape her, and not up into the mountains.
Okay.
And Lawrence wanted the rapes to be more, quote, boyfriend and girlfriend, end
What?
quote.
Jeez.
And that he didn't like it that Roy was there. I think at this point, Lawrence is tired of Roy being a part of his twisted sex life.
Right.
Lawrence slapped and beat Shirley with his fists while she screamed and cried, begging, "No, don't touch me," end quote. He raped and sodomized her multiple times, interspersing the sexual assaults with episodes of torture using his fists, a hammer, and pliers from the toolbox.
God.
He used pliers on her breasts and genital area. He taunted her throughout this, asking things like, quote, "What's the matter? Don't you like to scream?" end quote, while she cried and pleads with him.
Good night.
Roy and Lawrence make her play along like she likes the rape and torture. They wanted it to be a, quote, loving type of porn, end quote. But Shirley stops talking. She just clams up. She had probably mentally checked out, and she's ignoring everything that's going on around her. So they beat her more. They told her to act like she liked it. After 2 more hours of this, Roy turns off the recorder and changes places with Lawrence. And Lawrence drives while Roy was in the back of the van. He forced Shirley to perform oral sex on him. He then turned the tape recorder back on and began hitting her on the elbow with a hammer.
Yeah.
And here's why. Lawrence didn't think she was screaming enough to satisfy him.
God.
So they've got her bound and gagged, and they have done everything in the world to her. They've tortured her with these tools. They've done terrible things to her. And because she's not screaming, they begin hitting her in the elbow with a sledgehammer more than 25 times just to hear her scream.
Just animals.
And the whole time she is screaming, Lawrence is egging it on. So while he tortured this poor girl, he continuously demanded that she not stop screaming. And in the end, Lawrence insisted that Roy kill Shirley because, quote, he hadn't killed anyone yet, end quote.
Wow.
So Roy takes the wire hanger and strangles Shirley, tightening it with pliers. Once they were sure she was dead, they removed the hanger, but left it wound around her neck and decided to leave her body where it would be quickly found, hoping to shock the public and the media. Besides, Roy had to be back at work at 7:30 in the morning, so they just dumped her body. So unlike their 4 other victims whose bodies were dumped in the San Gabriel Mountains, Lawrence and Roy dumped her in a bed of ivy on the front lawn of a residential neighborhood in Sunland. Can you imagine waking up to that?
Wow.
A jogger discovered her body later that morning. There were people, though, who passed by it and thought her body was a mannequin. It was just a Halloween decoration left over from the night before.
Right.
The police were called, and the scene immediately suggested a sadistic sexual homicide, and they knew the killer wanted her to be found. Well, at this point, Lawrence and Roy, they want the attention.
Right.
And maybe this is due to the fact that just a few days before this, the hillside strangler, Angelo Bueno, was caught. And perhaps Roy and Lawrence wanted some of that limelight. They just wanted a little bit of that.
Right.
Then after the murder on Halloween, on November, Roy runs into an old prison acquaintance, Joe Jackson, when he's in South Bay. And these two were friendly enough that they were friendly enough in prison, and they were friendly enough on the outside that Roy felt comfortable opening up to him. Joe is a serial rapist himself, and Roy confides all the murder details to Joe.
Really?
He bragged about his and Lawrence's crime spree. Roy tells Joe, quote, "He told me he killed them because this way he could sleep at night and not worry about being identified," end quote. Then Roy goes on to give Joe graphic details of the torture and murder of Shirley Ledford, whose body is the one that is publicly known at the time.
Right.
He tells Joe that he and Lawrence had kidnapped, raped, and murdered 5 teenage girls, and also described 3 additional attacks where the women got away. One of those girls was Robin Robeck. The other 2 were abductions where the girls just escaped.
Mm-hmm.
And Roy's descriptions included enough details, enough specifics, that Joe Jackson realized that this wasn't just jailhouse boasting,
Right.
and that at least one victim was already in the news. He had heard about it.
Sure.
So Joe, who's on probation, goes to his attorney. Hang on a second. I think maybe he told Joe, because remember, they're sending stuff to this Richard Shupman too,
Right.
Who's writing the letters
Sure.
or writing the stories.
Right.
So maybe they think, well, Joe's just fine with it, just like Shupman is.
Right.
Joe's not fine with it.
Yeah.
Joe goes to his attorney asking what he should do with what sounded like a confession to serial murders. Now, Joe's out on parole. Maybe he's thinking that if he helps out the police with this case, they'll commute his parole, or maybe he's just being a stand-up guy. Who knows?
Right.
His attorney says, let's go to the police. And together they contacted LAPD, who then relayed them to the Hermosa Beach Police and Detective Paul Bynum and Tom Cray, who were handling the Shirley Ledford murder, who was the last one abducted and part of a series of missing teen cases in the area. So they're taking care of all these missing teen cases, and when one turns up dead, it's their case as well.
Sure.
Joe gives the police a detailed statement about Roy's bragging. He tells them about the number of victims, the general time frame, summer to fall 1979, the names, Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris and Shirley Ledford, and the pattern involving a van and mountain dump sites. This was the first time police had a witness since Shirley's murder and all the other missing girl cases to specific suspects by name and a description of how they operated. And this is when they tracked down Robin Robeck. They track her down in Oregon because remember, she was just in visiting.
Right.
And they have photos of Roy and Lawrence. And they show them to Robin, and she is able to ID them both as her attackers and rapists. And don't forget, she said they're driving a gray van.
Right.
With Roy Norris now a named suspect in a fresh rape and multiple murders, Hermosa Beach Police Department put him under what's called rolling surveillance. They weren't gonna not watch him all the time.
Yep.
On November 20th, 1979, he parked his car and left it unlocked. And police walk up to the car and they can see inside the car a huge bag of weed he's dealing. So they arrest him on a parole violation. They say nothing about the murders. They go to his duplex because now they have probable cause to search it.
Sure.
They go to his duplex and find 500 photos of girls, including one of Jackie Gilliam nude from the waist up. Then Lawrence calls Roy's home and the police pick up. And Lawrence is like, this is not Roy answering the phone. And he wants to know, where is Roy?
Right.
And they tell him he's up on the roof fixing his TV antenna. And I thought, I wonder how quickly they had to come up with that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
He's up on the roof fixing his TV antenna.
Yeah.
And Lawrence knows. He knows something's afoot.
Right.
He cleans out the van. He takes almost everything out of this van, and he goes to Forest Lawn Cemetery, and he buries a bunch of photographs and one cassette tape.
At Forest Lawn. Oh, my God.
The very famous cemetery.
Yep.
Then while they're cleaning out Roy's duplex, they find a business card to the Scott's Motel in Burbank, and on the back of it, it says Lawrence Bittaker. Police head to Lawrence Bittaker's motel room where he was taking a shower. He is arrested. He walks out of the bathroom butt naked, and they arrest him.
Wow.
He's arrested the same day at his Burbank motel on suspicion of rape. They do find inside the van, even though Lawrence has cleaned it out, a small sledgehammer, this bag of lead, a sap, weights, jewelry, Vaseline, a police radio scanner book, and 2 victims' necklaces.
Oh.
In Lawrence's motel room, police find 7 bottles of acidic material. He was saving it for the next victim to torture. He was going to torture them with acid, like hydrochloric acid. They also find over 500 Polaroids. 19 of them matched missing girls. 60 of them were found to be alive and well. There were confirmed charges of Hall and Gilliam, and a police scanner, a replica of a .45 pistol, pornographic film, and a safe.
Wow.
In Roy's apartment, they find Shirley Ledford's bracelet. But the most damning piece of evidence, even though Lawrence thought he had purged the van and buried everything in the cemetery, he forgot to take a cassette out of the van's stereo.
Oh, man.
It was the 17-minute long or 30-minute long, depending on who you ask,
Right.
tape of Shirley Ledford's torture and rape.
Man.
Their very last victim. The one who didn't want to scream. The one who didn't scream enough for them.
Right.
So they tortured her even more.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation,
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
open a new retail location with 36% more square feet,
Fantastic.
hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Police confront Roy with all the evidence on November 30th, 1979. Roy appears at a preliminary hearing for the Robin Robeck rape, and he's really stressed. He's visibly stressed. And Roy, who bragged to one of their old prison buddies, Joe Jackson, about all the rapes and the murders and the van, he's suddenly singing like a canary. Roy was the reason they'd been caught by the police in the first place, and now he's telling them, hey, I didn't do this. This is Lawrence. Lawrence did all the killing.
Right.
Roy Norris worked out a deal with the authorities. On that same day, November 30th, Roy waives his Miranda rights and is questioned by Detective Paul Bynum and Deputy DA Stephen Kay, at first about Robin's rape and abduction, and then Joe Jackson's statements, and then all the evidence they've collected from his apartment and Lawrence's motel room and the van. And this is when Roy really cracks. He starts detailing all of their crimes, and he points the finger squarely at his buddy and pal, Lawrence Bittaker. Roy tells authorities that he's just along for the ride and he was only doing what Lawrence told him to do. And Lawrence did all the killing. And in exchange for his testimony against Lawrence Bittaker, they drop the death penalty for Roy. On December 27th, a San Luis Obispo judge issued a search warrant on Richard Schupman's prison cell for letters and photographs sent by Lawrence and Roy.
Right.
And when they turn his cell, they find letters and photographs sent by the two of them. 14 photos and 5 letters. Can you believe this?
Man.
All of these are going to be admitted at trial.
I'm sure they will.
So after they pressure Roy and he sings like a canary, he draws a map of where they dumped the bodies. He's told them, this is who we picked up, this is what, and this is where we dumped their bodies.
Right.
And that was all a part of the deal. And remember, police found over 500 photos of these teenage girls, and 60 were identified in the photos as like actually being out and living.
Right.
And subsequently, they located and discovered these people unharmed, but 19 girls in the Polaroids were all listed as missing. So did Roy and Lawrence kill them too?
Right.
But investigators never find any evidence that would lead them to definitively say that 12 of them had been victims of Lawrence and Roy. We just don't know.
But if it walks like a duck and it talks like,
Yeah. And maybe these are photos from their numerous dry runs too.
Sure.
But Roy has agreed to show where they dumped the bodies. So they go out in January of 1980 and he shows them where they dumped the girls.
Right.
And police find nothing. And they go out again in February 8th, and he shows them sites again. And again, police find nothing. Then they go out the next day on February 9th, and in cooperation with the Sierra Madre Search and Rescue, 300 feet down a steep ravine, they recover Jackie Gilliam and Leah Lamp. This was just 5 months after they were killed, and these girls are only bones.
Jeez.
And Jackie still had an ice pick lodged in her skull.
Good Lord.
On March 18th, 1980, Roy Norris pled guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of secondary murder in relation to victim Andrea Hall, 2 counts of rape, and 1 count of robbery in return for Roy's guilty plea and his agreeing to testify against Lawrence Bittaker. Roy would get life without parole.
Right.
Now, Lawrence, he's not as cooperative. On April 24th, Lawrence Bittaker was arraigned on 29 charges: kidnapping, rape, sodomy, murder, conspiracy, and firearm charges. And when he refused to plead, the court entered a plea on his behalf of not guilty.
Okay.
Now, remember, Lawrence stripped the van pretty clean, and what he didn't take was that 17-minute long or 30-minute long recorded torture of Shirley Ledford. He left that in the cassette in the van stereo.
Right, right.
On January 19th, 1981, the People of California versus Lawrence Bittaker begins in Torrance, California, in Judge Thomas Frederick's courtroom. This trial will last 2 months and will consist of photos of the girls, always up for the jury of 7 women and 5 men to see. And immediately I was like, prosecution's liking this.
Yeah.
7 women.
You got it.
And 5 men.
Yep.
And not only the jury is going to have to look at the faces of these girls, right?
Right.
This is the first time a felony case in California allowed cameras in without the defendant's consent, meaning it was the first trial where television and still cameras were permitted in the courtroom, even though Lawrence and his attorney objected to it. But Judge Thomas Fredericks thought the case was too important to not share it with the public. And the DA, Stephen Kay, he agreed. Roy Norris would never face the kind of full public trial that Lawrence Bittaker did because he cut his deal in exchange for pleading guilty and becoming state's witness.
Right.
And the prosecutors, of course, took the death penalty off the table. And Roy walked into court not as the man on trial, but as the accomplice who would help bury his best friend, his partner in crime, and his soulmate, Lawrence Bittaker.
Right.
The trial opens on January 19th, and the prosecution relied on Roy's testimony heavily, along with all the physical evidence. And Roy gets on the stand, and he describes his and Lawrence's prison relationship, how they had planned for all of this, the abductions, the murders, even the Robin Robeck rape, where she got away.
Right.
And we found out the other girl's name during the trial. One of the girls who gets away was Jan Malin.
Okay.
That was an attempted abduction. He tells the court that he's afraid of Lawrence. He's afraid of Lawrence not to kill the one girl that he did. that he only killed the one girl, and he only did it because he's afraid. And it was all Lawrence's idea. It's his brainchild, and I was just along for the ride.
I had no way of being able to get out of this situation. Yeah, whatever.
And then a 17-minute section of the tape recovered from Lawrence's van is played in court.
Wow.
This is heartbreaking. Jurors were openly weeping. People inside the courtroom had to leave. Even a courtroom artist had to excuse herself.
Wow.
The tape is of Shirley Ledford begging for her life.
Jeez.
It's the worst thing even the FBI has ever heard. It involves the torture of an innocent young woman, and it has never been released to the public. And while the tape is playing, Lawrence is looking at a transcript of it, and he's reading along. He's not saying anything. He is dead focused, and his face shows zero emotion.
Wow.
On February 5th, Lawrence testifies in his own defense. Well, I mean, after that tape plays,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because his voice is on there.
Right.
So he testifies in his own defense, and he denied any responsibility for the murders and claimed, get this, that these were all consensual encounters with the girls.
Even the
Or-
murder.
Yeah.
God.
Or he blamed Roy Norris and attempted to explain the writings and the evidence as fiction or Roy's conduct. He said, I didn't do it. It was another guy with Roy Norris. Roy was the killer who was trying to blame him. And here's what he says is true. This is what Lawrence says is true.
Okay.
He wasn't even around or there when 16-year-old Cindy Schaefer was killed, when she's walking back from church.
Mm-hmm.
He said that Andrea Hall agreed to have sex with him for $200. He said that Jackie agreed to pose for photographs for $600. He said that Shirley was drug crazed and that she was wild on PCP. And, quote, I wish Norris had never done that, end quote. He also tells the court that that tape of Shirley, that's just pillow talk.
What?
Pillow talk.
Wha- Okay.
Roy wanted dirty talk and fear, and that Shirley was paid to do it. She was just going along with it to make the tape for him. Lawrence tried to tell investigators that the tape recording was nothing more than the sounds of a threesome. That's it. It's just a threesome.
Man.
But at the very end, Shirley Ledford is screaming for Lawrence and Roy to kill her. She is begging them to end her life. She couldn't take it anymore.
Jeez.
After more than 3 weeks of testimony, prosecutors and defense counsel began closing arguments on February 9th, 1981, over the reliability of Roy Norris, the physical evidence, and Lawrence's alternative narrative. Also, while awaiting trial against advice of his attorney, Lawrence writes his autobiography. Lawrence believed that jurors would read this account of events and that they would find that Roy was actually the one who was to blame. He's not too smart, Mr. 138 IQ,
Yeah.
right? That didn't
Yeah.
help him out at all.
Yeah.
He said it all started with his jailhouse manuscript. He called it The Last Ride. It was part confession, part self-serving fiction, and all of it was designed to shift the blame onto Roy Norris. It never became a published book, but pieces of it followed him into court. He showed drafts to a newspaper reporter and a jail guard. The manuscript described parts of the crimes, including Cindy Schaefer's murder, Andrea Hall's abduction, and the rape and the abduction of Jackie Gilliam and Leah Lamp. And when Lawrence testified, prosecutors used his manuscript to challenge him on cross-examination. You're telling one story here, you're telling one story there. If this is the truth, which is the truth?
Right.
The prosecution did not introduce the book in its case in chief, meaning they didn't make it one of their primary exhibits while laying out the case.
Right.
But once Lawrence takes the stand and he starts telling his version, essentially trying to paint Norris as the real monster and himself as less involved, the DA, Stephen Kay, used what Bittaker had written against him. Kay made use of it over defense objection in cross-examining the defendant. So Lawrence's own jailhouse writing gave prosecutors ammunition. They could confront him with scenes, details, and admissions from his manuscript that did not match the cleaner, self-protective version he was trying to sell to the jury. And I can tell you, the jury wasn't buying anything
I'm sure
he was selling.
Yeah.
On February 17th, 1981, the jury found Lawrence Bittaker guilty of 26 counts and found 38 special circumstances, including multiple murder and felony murder circumstances. 2 days later, the jury returned with a death verdict for Lawrence because at the time, California still had the death penalty.
Right.
On March 24th, 1981, Lawrence Bittaker is sentenced to death, and the judge tacked on an extra 190 years to his sentence, just in case the death sentence was ever commuted to life.
Right.
He is received at San Quentin's death row on March 30th, 1981. I got to tell you, death is too good for either of these guys.
Absolutely. Well, except the afterlife, we know where they're going.
Yeah. On June 22nd, 1989, 8 years later, the California Supreme Court unanimously affirmed Lawrence Bittaker's conviction and death sentence, rejecting search, jury selection, guilty phase, and penalty phase claims. And on October 3rd, 1989, Lawrence's execution date is set, December 29th, 1989. But he is not executed on this day because the execution was stayed while his U.S. Supreme Court case was heard. It is essentially a last chance request asking the Supreme Court to step in and review this case. It's not a finding of innocence and it's not a new trial. It's just a legal Hail Mary, one more attempt to argue that something in the lower courts went wrong badly enough for the highest court in the country to take a look. But Lawrence Bittaker was supposed to die in San Quentin's gas chamber. But the execution is never going to happen.
Why?
Never going to happen.
Why?
Because he puts everything before. He gets this stay because of this Supreme Court.
Right.
But that's not the end of it.
Okay.
He's just buying time. He's buying time because on June 11th, 1990, the U.S. Supreme Court denied his petition with Justices Brennan and Marshall dissenting. And on June 12th, 1997, the California Court of Appeal ruled in Bittaker's case that even a death row inmate declared a vexatious litigant still retained the right to file habeas corpus petitions without going through the civil pre-filing screening process. In other words, the court system could restrict Lawrence Bittaker's nuisance lawsuits, but not his core right to challenge his conviction or sentence through habeas corpus. He's throwing anything and everything. Lawrence is going to tie up his execution for years. He files something in 2000, in 2003 with the Ninth Circuit Court. So instead of dying by lethal gas, Lawrence was sitting on death row playing chess and bridge. And California is never going to get the chance to kill him.
Wow.
In 2009, 30 years after the murders, Roy Norris comes up for parole. And even though he is denied parole, all the families from all these victims have to come and listen and testify as to why he needs to stay in prison.
Right.
10 years after this, in 2019, Roy comes up for parole once more. And again, he is denied. But again, these poor families are suffering, and Lawrence hasn't even been killed in a gas chamber, right?
They have to relive everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in this documentary I watched, I'll put a link to it in the show notes, a forensic psychologist befriends Lawrence. Her name is Laura Brand, and she talks to Lawrence over a period of years, and she is basically his only friend. And two of the girls, Cindy Schaefer and Andrea Hall, Their bodies have never been found. And she wants to get this information out of Lawrence before he kicks the bucket.
Right.
After years of getting him to trust her, he draws her a map of the San Gabriel Mountains, saying that Roy didn't show them the right place to look. He was about a mile off, and it was an area that had never been searched. And as his condition gets worse, he's aging, he's really starting to realize he's going to die.
Right.
And he starts crying to her over the phone, quote, "What have I done?" end quote. And after a series of heart attacks, he's all anxious. Lawrence has all these heart attacks. He's all anxious and upset. He's talking to her on the phone. And he says to her, quote, "Maybe it's a kind of a taste of what my victims were going through," end quote.
Well, there you go. There's some realization.
Lawrence Bittaker dies on Friday the 13th, 2019. He was 79 years old. 2.5 months later, Roy Norris dies. It's like an old married couple who are soulmates. One dies and the other one follows right behind.
Yeah.
Roy was 72. Stephen Kay, who prosecuted Lawrence Bittaker, still considers the murders committed by Lawrence and Roy to be the worst criminal case he has ever prosecuted. And he prosecuted Charles Manson.
Wow.
In interviews, he said that for more than 2 years after the trial of Lawrence Bittaker, he had recurring nightmares. He would be rushing to the van to prevent the girls from being murdered, and each time he was too late.
Yeah, what a nightmare.
And again, this is a man who prosecuted Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And after that trial, Stephen was fine. Stephen Kay was fine. But after the Bittaker case, Stephen Kay was depressed and had to go on antidepressants. Now, this is even more horrible, but Paul Bynum, the chief investigator on the Hermosa Beach Police, who broke the case, committed suicide in December of 1987.
Wow.
He was only 39 years old. He left behind a 10-page suicide letter where he specifically referred to the Toolbox murders. He said they haunted him, and he worried they would be released from prison, and when they were, Lawrence Bittaker would come after him. And if he killed himself, maybe Lawrence would let his wife and daughter live.
Wow.
So sad.
Sad.
The audio cassette Lawrence and Roy created of themselves raping and torturing Shirley Ledford remains in the possession of the FBI Academy. The recording is now used to train and desensitize FBI agents to the raw reality of torture and murder. The tapes have never been released publicly.
Good.
And the map that Lawrence Bittaker gave criminologist Laura Brand, the map he claimed could lead to the remains of Cindy Schaefer and Andrea Hall.
Right.
Well, despite that late life disclosure, the map has not publicly resulted in the recovery of either girl. And as of now, Cindy and Andrea remain missing. But that is the story of the Toolbox killers, Roy Norris and Lawrence Bittaker. I hope they are burning in hell. But that's all I have to say about that.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation,
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
open a new retail location with 36% more square feet,
Fantastic.
hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
When equipment breaks down and operations come to a halt, every single second counts. So why is your maintenance team spending 60% of their time doing anything but turning wrenches? Maintain X is the AI-powered maintenance and asset management system that helps your team get back to actually fixing breakdowns. No more searching for manuals. No more hunting down parts. No more drowning in paperwork. With Maintain X, your team can access manuals from anywhere, create new procedures in minutes, and turn voice notes into clear and complete work order feedback. What used to take hours now only takes minutes. Keep your operations moving and your wrenches turning. Join over 13,000 maintenance teams that are already fixing more and filing less. Try Maintain X for free today. Go to maintainx.com/AI. That's maintain and the letter x.com/AI.
Well, my take on the whole thing is that I can't even imagine the depravity and the evilness in a person that could do stuff like this. I mean, it's yeah. I don't
My
understand.
heart goes out to those families.
Yeah.
A lot of those girls are in my age range, and so they would have been around my age or even your age now.
Right.
And their whole life was cut short.
Yeah.
By these monsters, by these two entitled monsters. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
But he even looks like a monster, and in his old age, he looks like something out of Middle Earth.
Wow.
From Lord of the Rings. It's that bad. And yeah. I do kind of, it did warm the cockles of my heart a little bit, because I think he cried on the witness stand. Lawrence cried on the witness stand. I didn't even put that in there because they were crocodile tears, and who cares? We all know what he did.
Yep.
But when he was dying and he's telling his friend Laura, this woman who's been coming back and forth and meeting with him, I think for like 5 years, it kind of felt like that was, he realized that it was over for him, and it wasn't going to be good for him.
Yeah.
And just to be able to hear that, it did warm the cockles of my heart, I will tell you.
Yeah.
It did.
Well, we know where he is. And there's no air conditioning either.
There is none.
Yeah. It's probably a little hotter than inside that van.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well,
I need a good bless your heart. I need some good bless your heart.
Well, then let's do a little bless your heart.
Well, bless your heart.
All right, number one.
Number one.
Don't see the resemblance?
Okay.
A drunken Florida man was booted out of an area library and then arrested after he identified himself to police as Jason Bourne, the fictional super spy created by author Robert Ludlum.
No, he didn't.
He did. Police were first called to the Barbara South Ponce Public Library in Pinellas Park last Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, this is in Florida.
Oh, yeah. For reports of a man causing a disturbance, News4Jax reported. It's the TV station down there. Citing an arrest report. Sorry, I couldn't say that without trying not to laugh. The boozed up man, identified as 45-year-old Jonathan William Chapman, refused to leave the library even after being asked multiple times by staffers to vamoose, according to the news outlet. When police arrived, Chapman told them his name was Bourne, played by actor Matt Damon in the blockbuster action thriller series.
Okay.
He was arrested and removed from the library.
So he's drunk in the library and saying that he's Jason Bourne.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to come up with a character, why not?
Yeah, but the very first Jason Bourne, he doesn't know he's Jason Bourne, remember?
But he wasn't drunk either.
That's true. They fish him out of the water, if I remember correctly. But
did.
yeah, he doesn't even know he's Jason Bourne. Whatever.
Okay, number two. Catch me if you can.
Okay.
A woman pulled over by Crossville officers while riding an electric shopping cart stolen from Walmart claims she was just on her way to get a cup of coffee, investigators say.
I just needed a cup of coffee.
Police responded around 5 a.m. Friday to report of a woman driving an electric scooter in the slow lane on Highway 127. When officers were able to get her to stop, they said the driver, identified as Sally Selby, claimed she took the cart from Walmart and was driving it to the, you can't make this up, to Waffle House to get a cup of coffee.
There you go, to the awful waffle. No, sorry, Waffle House. To the Waffly House, I should say. The Waffly House.
I love the Waffle House. I love their hash browns with hot tamales or whatever they put in.
There's too much gluten in that place for me.
All right. Police, yet I digress. You start to mention food and I lose my mind. Police watched surveillance footage from Walmart and said Selby was, she was observed entering the store around 4:15 a.m. And driving the electric scooter as she shopped. Around 4:40 a.m., officers advised she exited the business, drove around the Walmart parking lot, and then rode the shopping cart onto Highway 127.
She just kept on going.
Crossville police have not said what charge or charges Selby will face.
And the whole time you were giving me that story, I was thinking, all you want to do is ride around, Sally. Ride,
Sally, ride. Yep. Okay, number 3, and finally.
Finally.
That's going to leave a mark.
You know, you use that one every now and then.
Well, okay, I'll use this one.
Call you out on it.
That'll buff right out.
Okay.
Got to thank our buddy John for that one. A bungling felon from Washington State made a series of blunders when he shot himself in the testicles and tried to hide the weapon.
What?
All while storing drugs in his
rectum.
Yep.
I knew it.
A report said Wednesday. Cameron Jeffrey Wilson, 27, was carrying a pistol in his front pocket while in Kashmir, Washington apartment on April 5th when the firearm accidentally discharged and pierced his groin and thigh, according to the Wenatchee World News.
He shot off his testicles while he had drugs in his rectum. You can't make this up.
Go big or go home.
Apparently.
Wilson, who is a 13-time convicted felon,
there you have it,
told his girlfriend to dispose of the weapon before heading to the hospital, the paper said.
What's he going to tell him at the hospital?
I don't know. When the ex-con finally went to the hospital, a balloon of marijuana slipped out of his butt while a doctor was operating on the gunshot wound, court records show. Cops also arrived at the hospital when alerted of the gunshot wound and searched Wilson's car, where they discovered a bag of meth in the blood-stained jeans he was wearing when he shot himself. The convicted felon was charged with possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of meth, possession of a controlled substance in a correctional facility, and 4 counts of tampering with a witness. Wilson is being held on $110,000 bail and is due in court on June 18th.
Can you imagine the surgeons and the nurses in the OR being like, well, hello?
You know what? It's funny because you read some of the emergency, the ER doctors and stuff.
That's true.
Nothing surprises them.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
It's just another day.
You just can't make that up. You can't make that whole story up.
Oh, Lord.
Well, if you have a bless your heart or you know somebody's heart who needs a lesson, all you got to do is go to hitchedtohomicide.com. When you get there, there's a pull-down menu, and while you're there, you can also suggest a case or tell us about your brush with true crime.
Please do.
That's my amazing husband out there.
And that's my beautiful bride in the booth.
Join us next time on Hitched to Homicide.
Bye, y'all.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. As you get ready for spring cleaning, trust Simple Green to get the job done right. Simple Green's concentrated cleaning power handles tough messes in every room of the house. And Simple Green is EPA Safer Choice certified, so it's recognized for safer use around people, pets, and waterways. I am so certain you'll love Simple Green. If you're not 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Visit us at simplegreen.com.